Okay, here we go. Political beliefs and caricatures. I was going to name this something longer and say, where the hell do people come up with their beliefs? Because I have, like I say, people have complicated beliefs in politics. The mental gymnastics that it takes for you to believe these things is ridiculous. It was funny watching Vosh because he was angry at Andrew Yang for supporting Israel over Palestine. This is not surprising because the thing is that he upset the Jewish community in New York because he said, actually, we should be against circumcision. And because of that, that caused such an uproar in the Hasidic communities in New York and the other Orthodox Jewish communities. Okay. So it's like that's really a no shit. It's just him pandering. That's all it is. That's all you need to say. It's him pandering. But instead, of course, Vosh wants to go on and on about Israel again. Of course, he upsets his chat. Oh my gosh, his chat has some Zionist in it. Oh, that's not a fucking surprise. But it's like he goes on and on about it. He somehow will say Israel's bad. Hamas is bad too, of course, he'll say. But then he's like, yeah, but then he's like, well, yeah, but I support Rojava. I support their separatism. I support a two-state solution for Israel, which, what the fuck is this? Is this 1992 or something like that? I mean, the two-state solution? Nobody talks about that shit anymore. The thing is that I think it's just, where the fuck do people come up with this shit? And it's just, it shows it's pandering. Where he'll say, oh yeah, well, we want Palestine to be its own country, but we don't want anti-Semitism either. That's dangerous. It's just like, Lord have mercy. Jesus wept. But anyway, the thing is that it's funny because then, of course, he's like, well, but I support Rojava. Like, why do you support Rojava? Israel supports Rojava. And of course, people will say, oh, it's anti-Semitic. But the thing is, though, is there is literally an Israeli-American or American-Israeli, whichever way you want to put it, broker who has been working with Rojava to sell oil to Israel. I cannot think of his name. I put those videos out a long time ago. I really don't feel like looking for him. But the thing is, though, is he was a failed businessman. He was a taxi driver. And now he's ended up doing work for, brokering, oil deals between them. Like I said, this goes back to my belief. This really idiotic belief, in my view, where it's just like, well, Israel controls, or excuse me, yeah, Israel does control the U.S. to a point. But the idea that the U.S. controls Israel, I'm like, huh? I don't get that. It's like, okay, you can say that there are a few, puppet states or whatever. You could say, to a point, Ferdinand Marcos and his regime was a U.S. puppet. Okay. Even Colombia. Yeah, you can say that's a puppet. But you can't really say fully that Israel is a puppet of the U.S. I don't see it that way. Like I say, I've already talked about why I think that's wrong, but I don't get it. How can people hold such weird beliefs? It's the same thing with, you could, think about it this way, like caricatures of Wignats, right? More specifically. And it depends on how much knowledge you have. There's a common caricature where they'll say white supremacist and white nationalist. They hate Israel, but they love it at the same time. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like I say, I'm trying to be as good faith as possible, but it's like, in general, you'll find legitimate Nazis. I'm talking the actual Nazis who became Muslim and who converted to Sunni Islam that worked. And you could say what you want to. I think it is what it is, right? But you had, generals like Hyacinth von Slockwitz, who worked for the Syrian government for a time. Now, that was the in-between government, and later that guy who led that government was later killed. But anyway, Of course, you had Abdel Nasser, who worked with I'm trying to think of his name now, Otto Skorzeny. Now, of course, allegedly Otto Skorzeny did work for Mossad as well. Like I say, that it's kind of murky in that history, But anyway, it's just ridiculous to me. It's like, in general, Wignats will be like, yeah, we support Hezbollah. Just it's the same thing as Catholics. I mean, it's like you look at Croatian Catholics or whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, inshallah, we support Hezbollah. And of course, people like, but then you'll have lefties who'll say, well, Hezbollah is fascist and they're mean, they're anti-Semitic. It's the same thing what they'll say about Ansar Allah, aka the Houthis, right? That, well, they're anti-Semitic, they're kicking the few Jews that are in. It's just like, I don't know. I just don't have time for their bullshit, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, what is an anti-Semitic? The thing is, I mean, we've been over this term, and people have never given me a good answer between, Semitic. It's like, you can look at people like Ralph Nader, and you could say, oh, he looks Jewish, and then you find out he's Lebanese. So, I mean, when you say it's like Semitic peoples, it's like that includes Palestinians, bro. They're Semitic too. Like I say, same thing as Lebanon, same thing as a lot of these areas. These are Semitic peoples, bro. It's just, But I know people don't want to think about it. They just simplify anti-Semitism to anti-Jewish. And why can't they just say anti-Jewish? They don't want to do that. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just ridiculous. These caricatures of beliefs in general. It's simple. It's the same thing, like I say, where you'll paint Republicans as fascists. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess to you they would seem as fascists, but to actual fascists and to Wignats and, neo-Nazis or whatever, they seem like, they seem no better than Democrats because they're getting themselves involved with transgenderism, right? They're all in for Caitlyn Bennett, right? You'll see these, and you'll see these politicians that support him, But yeah, like I say, I don't get it, to be honest with you. I don't. Caricatures do serve a value. It's the same thing. I was watching a video about Trotskyism. I'll give in. I'll say that, yeah, neoconservatism comes more from, shit libs that originally wanted to do social programs, but ultimately it didn't work out. And now neoconservatism just means we support American imperialism with a little bit of domestic stuff on the side. It's an outdated ideology that really doesn't work in present day. And ultimately that, like I said, I take that video with a grain of salt because I didn't believe everything that was in there. But yeah, I was talking about paleoconservatism and all that business. But at the end of the day, I mean, political labels. Hold on. Cat scratching at the door again. Hold on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. You want to go out? Go ahead. Come on. Shoo, 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 shoo. Okay. Mr. Editor, a.k.a. me, don't forget to edit this part down. Okay. I guess I'll finish up with this. Is caricatures are needed to kind of give people a base understanding. It's the same thing that people will say, well, this is what a left comm is, and this is what a Marxist Leninist is. This is what a whoever is, right? But I think at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, and then of course, then you can figure out what they actually believe, and then you can say whether they're cringe or not. I mean, they're like I say, caricatures and stereotypes are pretty close. It's like, yeah, a libertarian is always going to have, like, age of consent, bro. Who cares about that? Age of consent doesn't mean anything. Age is just a number. That's the whole idea of libertarians, right? But of course, libertarians continue to prove that that's correct. And of course, I know people will say, oh, the left-wing folks today, they'll say, but libertarianism originally came from the left. It originally came from Proudhon. I know. Stop coping. If you live in Europe, go and have your libertarianism then. Go and have your Proudhonism or whatever. But it's like, guess what? You lost that word to people like I can't even think of his name. I don't care. But who cares, dude? It's just like, I don't know. I talk about these things because it's like I'm stuck in this political game. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Once you enter into this world of politics, and as bad as I talk about it, and as little as I know about a lot of subjects, once you get sucked into this political world, it's hard to really get yourself out of it. And you're just kind of stuck and trapped in it. But yeah. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I'm going to edit this down a little bit. That way it's a little more digestible. And hopefully y'all enjoy. See you later and goodbye.